Right now, buried under 50 feet of crushed municipal trash in a suburban valley, sits a multi-billion-dollar financial monopoly. It prints millions of dollars in cash every single day by charging human beings for the privilege of throwing things away. To most people, a landfill looks like a dirty, stinking pile of garbage sitting in an ugly hole in the ground. They see rusted pickup trucks, circling seagulls, heavy bulldozers, and smells that can rot your teeth from a mile away. They think waste management is a low-margin, bottom-tier business for local dump truck drivers and municipal garbage collectors. They are dead wrong. A modern private landfill is not a hole in the ground. It is a hyper-engineered, high-density volumetric real estate operation that yields higher profit margins than tech companies. In fact, the largest private landfill operators in the world boast operating margins exceeding 35%. They generate billions in recurring revenue while holding absolute, localized regional monopolies that are virtually impossible to disrupt. Once a private landfill is permitted and built, no competitor can open a competing dump within 50 miles. The government will not let them. The neighbors will not let them. The environmental protection agencies will not let them. You are left holding a legal license to print money on every single pound of trash generated by a major metropolis. So, how do you actually build and run a private landfill? How do you turn millions of tons of rotting household garbage into a predictable, multi-hundred-million-dollar annual cash flow engine? And what is the dark 30-year financial trap that can instantly bankrupt a landfill operator decades after the dump is completely full? Let us break down the brutal, high-stakes economics of owning a private landfill. To understand why landfills are financial gold mines, you first have to understand the core business model. Unlike traditional real estate, where you buy land and sell the physical property to a buyer, a landfill sells empty space. In the waste industry, this empty space is called airspace. Every single cubic yard of empty air above a permitted landfill cell is a unit of inventory. When a garbage truck drives past the heavy steel security gates at 6 o'clock in the morning, it does not dump its load for free. It drives directly onto a massive, heavy-duty industrial truck scale built into the concrete driveway. The truck is weighed on the way in and weighed again on the way out. The difference between those two numbers is the exact weight of the garbage dumped into your facility. You charge that truck driver a fee based on every single ton of material left behind. In the waste industry, this is called the tipping fee. Nationwide, tipping fees average anywhere from $60 to over $120 per ton. A mid-sized regional landfill receives anywhere from 2,000 to 5,000 tons of waste every single day. At $80 per ton, a facility processing 3,000 tons a day generates $240,000 in raw cash revenue before noon. That is nearly $7 million a month just for letting trucks back up and dump their loads onto your dirt pad. And the beauty of this cash flow is that it is completely recession-proof. When the economy booms, consumers buy new furniture, renovate houses, and throw away millions of tons of construction debris. When the economy crashes, people still eat, generate food waste, throw away packaging, and clear out old houses. Human beings are biological trash-generating engines. As long as people live in cities, your inventory refills itself every 24 hours. However, getting to that first dollar of tipping fee revenue is an absolute nightmare of capital expenditure and regulatory warfare. You cannot simply buy a farm, dig a giant pit with an excavator, and tell garbage trucks to start dumping. If you try that, the Environmental Protection Agency and state regulators will hit you with millions of dollars in federal fines and federal prison time. Before a single truck dumps a single bag of trash, you have to spend anywhere from $20 million to $50 million in upfront capital. The single biggest barrier to entry in the entire waste industry is the permitting process. This is known in real estate as NIMBY, which stands for Not in My Backyard. Nobody wants a landfill next to their neighborhood, their children's school, or their local river. When a private waste company applies for a new landfill permit, local homeowners form activist groups, hire high-powered environmental attorneys, and flood city council meetings. They file lawsuits claiming your dump will pollute the local water table, destroy property values, cause respiratory illnesses, and attract swarms of rats. A typical permitting battle for a new private landfill takes anywhere from 7 to 15 years of legal warfare. You will spend millions of dollars on environmental impact studies, hydrogeological surveys, traffic density models, and public hearings. 90% of independent operators who attempt to permit a new landfill fail and go bankrupt before they ever break ground. This extreme failure rate is precisely why existing permitted landfills are priceless assets. Once a landfill receives its final operating permit, it holds an unassailable geographic moat. Local regulations make it practically impossible for anyone to build another dump anywhere nearby for the next 30 years. Once you secure the permit, the heavy civil engineering begins. Modern landfills are not open pits. They are massive, subterranean containment vessels designed like high-tech space stations. The greatest threat to a landfill's existence is groundwater contamination. When rainwater hits thousands of tons of decomposing trash, it dissolves heavy metals, household chemicals, battery acid, and rotting organic matter. This toxic, pitch-black liquid is called leachate. If leachate leaks into the underlying water table, it poisons municipal drinking wells for miles around, triggering catastrophic federal liability lawsuits. To prevent leachate from escaping, civil engineers construct a subterranean multi-layer barrier system known as a composite liner. First, workers excavate millions of cubic yards of earth down to solid bedrock. They smooth the pit walls and lay down a 2-foot thick layer of compacted clay with ultra-low permeability. On top of the clay, they roll out a thick synthetic geomembrane liner made of high-density polyethylene plastic. This plastic sheet is heat welded together at every seam and tested with high-pressure air injectors to ensure zero pinhole leaks. Above the plastic liner, they place a geotextile cushion layer, followed by a 1-foot drainage blanket of crushed gravel. Inside that gravel layer, workers install a network of perforated high-density plastic pipes connected to powerful subterranean pumps. Whenever rain filters through the garbage, the toxic leachate trickles down into the gravel, enters the perforated pipes, and is pumped out of the landfill cell into industrial holding tanks. Building a single 10-acre landfill cell with this composite liner system costs anywhere from $3 million to $5 million. And as the landfill grows, you must continuously construct new line cells every few years to keep receiving waste. Once your cell is lined and operational, the name of the game becomes volumetric density optimization. Remember, a landfill makes money by selling empty airspace. The more tons of trash you can squeeze into a single cubic yard of space, the more revenue you extract from that cell. If garbage is simply dumped and left loose, it occupies massive volume while weighing very little. Loose trash has a density of only 300 to 400 pounds per cubic yard. To double your revenue per cell, you must compress that garbage as tightly as possible. This is where the heavy iron comes in. Landfill operators deploy massive, 80,000-pound specialized machines called landfill compactors. Unlike standard bulldozers with smooth tracks, a landfill compactor rides on massive steel wheels studded with heavy, diamond-shaped metal teeth. As garbage trucks dump their loads on the active working face, the compactor drives back and forth over the trash dozens of times. The heavy steel teeth crush wooden pallets, flatten metal drums, puncture plastic bottles, and grind organic matter into a dense, solid mat. By using high-weight compactors, an experienced landfill manager increases garbage density from 400 pounds per cubic yard to over 1,400 pounds per cubic yard. You have effectively tripled the financial capacity of your land without buying a single extra acre of property. Every pass of the compactor translates directly into hundreds of thousands of dollars of added airspace value. At the end of every single workday, landfill managers face another strict environmental regulation, the daily cover requirement. You cannot leave an active pile of exposed garbage open overnight. If you do, wind will blow paper and plastic bags across miles of surrounding countryside, vultures and rodents will invade the site, and odors will trigger hundreds of phone calls to environmental regulators. Every evening before shutting down operations, landfill crews must spread a 6-inch layer of clean soil over the entire working face of the garbage. This soil seals in odors, smothers, fires, and keeps pests away. However, using 6 inches of natural dirt every single day creates a massive operational problem. Soil takes up valuable airspace. Over 10 years, daily dirt cover can swallow up to 20% of your total permitted landfill volume, destroying millions of dollars in potential tipping fee revenue. To solve this problem, modern landfills use advanced alternative daily covers. Instead of soil, crews spray a thick, paper-based slurry foam over the trash that hardens overnight and degrades naturally. Others lay down massive synthetic tarps using specialized excavator arms, rolling them back up every morning to preserve every single inch of precious airspace for paid garbage. As thousands of tons of organic waste sit trapped inside the oxygen-depleted landfill, another massive biological transformation occurs: anaerobic decomposition. Bacteria begin devouring food waste, paper, and cardboard, producing a volatile gas mixture consisting of 50% methane and 50% carbon dioxide. Landfill gas is explosive, suffocating, and smells intensely of rotten eggs due to hydrogen sulfide traces. If left unmanaged, landfill gas will migrate underground through surrounding soil, seep into nearby basements, and cause catastrophic explosions. To control this gas, operators drill vertical wells directly into the buried mountain of trash. They insert perforated plastic pipes, seal the tops with concrete, and connect the entire well field to a centralized vacuum extraction system. A powerful industrial blower sucks the raw landfill gas out of the deep trash layers 24/7. In the past, operators simply burned off this gas using a high-temperature flare stack. Today, smart private landfill operators turn this environmental hazard into a lucrative second revenue stream. Raw landfill gas is routed into specialized purification plants that strip out carbon dioxide, moisture, and siloxanes. The result is pipeline-quality renewable natural gas, or RNG. Landfills sell this clean biomethane directly into regional natural gas pipelines, or use it to power on-site gas turbine generators that feed electricity back into the local power grid. A large regional landfill can generate anywhere from $5 million to $15 million annually just by harvesting the gas created by rotting garbage buried 20 years ago. Despite these massive revenue streams, the waste industry hides a brutal financial trap that has bankrupted dozens of careless operators: the post-closure care obligation. A landfill is not a business. You can simply close down, lock the gates, and walk away from when it gets full. When a landfill cell reaches its final permitted height, you must construct a permanent final cap. This involves sealing the entire mountain of trash under a thick synthetic membrane, 2 feet of compacted clay, and a layer of topsoil planted with deep-rooted grass to prevent erosion. Final capping alone costs over $100,000 per acre. Once the cap is installed, the real financial burden begins: 30-year post-closure monitoring. Federal law mandates that the landfill owner must maintain, monitor, and operate the leachate collection pumps, gas extraction well fields, and groundwater monitoring wells for at least 30 years after the dump closes. During those 3 decades, the landfill generates 0 tipping fee revenue. Yet, you must still pay for electricity, mechanical pump replacements, environmental testing labs, and maintenance crews out of pocket. If a major liner failure occurs 20 years after closure and leachate contaminates nearby wells, the operator is legally liable for cleanups costing tens of millions of dollars. To enforce this, regulators require landfill operators to establish a post-closure escrow fund. For every single ton of garbage dumped into your facility today, you must set aside a portion of the tipping fee into a locked bank account dedicated to funding 30 years of future maintenance. Operators who fail to calculate their post-closure liabilities correctly or who skim from their escrow funds find themselves completely destroyed by maintenance costs long after the cash flow stops. This brutal combination of high upfront capex, legal NIMBY warfare, and 30-year post-closure liabilities has completely transformed the private waste landscape. Small, independent mom-and-pop landfill operators have almost entirely disappeared. They simply do not have the balance sheets to survive a 10-year permitting battle or fund millions in post-closure escrows. Today, the private landfill market is dominated by massive, vertically integrated waste giants like Waste Management, Republic Services, and Waste Connections. These corporations own the entire value chain. They own the garbage trucks that pick up trash from your house, the transfer stations that consolidate the waste, and the regional mega landfills where it is finally buried. By controlling the landfills, they control the bottleneck of the entire industry. If an independent haulage company tries to compete with a waste giant on residential pickup routes, the waste giant simply raises the tipping fee at their local landfill for competitor trucks while charging their own trucks a discounted internal rate. The independent hauler is squeezed out of the market, and the landfill owner consumes another regional monopoly. In conclusion, owning a private landfill is one of the most lucrative, defensive, and unassailable financial models in modern infrastructure. It trades immediate aesthetic beauty for perpetual, inflation-hedged cash flow. It turns society's most unwanted byproduct into high-density volumetric gold. If you can survive the decade-long permitting battles, engineer impenetrable subterranean liners, maximize compactor density, and fund your 30-year post-closure escrows, you control an asset that will print millions of dollars in cash long after you are gone. Because no matter how advanced technology becomes, no matter how much society changes, human beings will never stop creating trash. And as long as trash exists, the owner of the landfill holds the keys to the kingdom.